you call a land surveyor because you think you need a survey, you need to give your land surveyor more than 45 seconds to talk to you before he gives you or she gives you a price. So, and that sounds silly, right? But I have people that call me and ask for a price on the land survey. And I've talked before in some of my videos about how a good surveyor is going to ask you some questions before he can figure out what you really need. You may think you need something that you don't. And you got to give your surveyor a chance to talk to you. There's been more than one occasion when I've got a potential client on the phone and they just want to know what's the price, and they don't give me a chance to talk to them and find out what they're really trying to do. So I wanted to just give you an example of that and explain why it's so important to have a conversation with your land surveyor before you get them under contract. So I got a call from a property manager in the East Bay, so in the San Francisco Bay Area, and his boss owned the property that was leased to a Tesla dealer. Okay, and so they needed to renew their flood insurance policy. So they believed they were in a flood zone, and the bank said, you guys need to renew your flood insurance, and we're going to require you to get an elevation certificate. That's a pretty standard thing that surveyors do when somebody needs flood insurance. So he called me and said, hey, I need a price on an elevation certificate. And I said, okay. I said, I got the address of the property. I said, if you have a couple minutes, I would like to look with you at the flood map. I said, I want to make sure that you're really in a flood zone. Sometimes lenders will ask you for an elevation certificate and you're not in the flood zone. He said, oh, no, I'm sure I'm in the flood zone because the lender asked me. I said, okay, I know you think that you're in a flood zone, but if you have just a couple minutes, I would like to check. He's like, all right, fine. So I got on the FEMA website and I pulled the flood map. And sure enough, they were in a flood zone. So I looked, I said, yeah, you're in a flood zone. So he said, okay, all I want is your price for an elevation certificate. And I said, well, I'm not sure. I need to look at this flood map for a little bit. He said, no, I just need your price. It can't be that hard. Just give me a price. And so I can't remember what I told him. I think I told him $2,500 for an elevation certificate. Just if you want a number off the top of my head, that's what it is. So he says, okay. He says, I've got some other people giving me prices. I'll call you back if you're the cheapest. And he just basically hung up the phone, right? So I didn't get a chance to really talk to him to find out, what was going on. I didn't get a chance to look at the flood map with him. So after he got off the phone, just because I already had it pulled up, I spent a couple minutes and looked at the flood map. And I realized, based on where the building was and the type of flood zone that he was in, that there was a good chance I could have actually pulled him out of the flood zone with what we call a LOMA, letter of map amendment, which means that his company, his boss, wouldn't have paid flood insurance at all. So they probably didn't need to pay flood insurance on that building. There's a good chance based on what I saw on the flood map. But I didn't get a chance to tell the potential client that, because all he wanted was a price on an elevation certificate. Now, the guy never called me back, so let me tell you what that means. That means he found somebody to give him an elevation certificate. He went and paid for it, and he paid for flood insurance, right? And he's going to continue paying for flood insurance for, who knows, the next 10 years, the next 15 years, right? When if he'd have just given me another 2 or 3 minutes on the telephone, we could have pulled him out of the flood zone, potentially, and saved him thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands of dollars over the life of that loan. So what are the lessons? The lessons. When you treat surveys like a commodity, you rob the land surveyor of the chance to bring their expertise to bear on your situation. So I've spent over 20 years helping people with real estate. I've spent 20 years dealing with flood hazards in Central California. There's a lot of knowledge up here that I can use to potentially benefit you. I can save you money in ways you haven't even thought of, potentially, right? So, and a good surveyor is going to do that. He's going to find ways to save you money, right? Bad surveyors find ways to spend your money. Good surveyors find ways to save you money. But I can't do that for you as a client if you won't talk to me, right? You've got to talk to me. So that's one lesson. Second, shopping for the cheapest survey you can find, all that does is cost you money in the long run, right? If you set out to get a survey and your only concern is price, you're going to find a bottom feeder surveyor, a trash fish surveyor, and they're going to puke up garbage for you, right? That's going to cost you money in the long run. So don't do that, right? Find a surveyor you can trust that's going to look out for your long-term interests. And finally, view your surveyor as an expert consultant, right? As an advisor. take time to explain your goals, what you're really trying to accomplish, and then listen carefully to her advice, right? If she's a good surveyor, she's going to give you good advice, and you want to listen carefully to what she has to say. Don't think you know already what you need and that all you need is a price, because most of the time that's not the case, right? Real estate is complicated. Land surveying is complicated. Land use regulation in California is complicated. Take advantage of the expertise that your surveyor has built for herself over potentially decades. So, when you call me up to get help, give me more than 45 seconds. You never know what I might be able to do for your Tesla dealership.